Okay, so today I'm gonna pick a random camera out of my camera cabinet here and just talk about it. Let's start with the Pentax K1000. So this camera is such a beautiful camera, guys. I really love this camera. I've actually shot with this camera. It's one of, I would say, the best manual cameras out there. One thing that I love about Pentax is that Pentax comes with a whole bunch of lenses that you can still have access to. I have a ton of these lenses. One of the good features about a camera like this, because it's a manual camera, is that you see the bottom here. You only need a battery that will control the light meter, okay? The battery there only controls the light meter. It does not affect the operation, or it doesn't actually operate the camera. So what that means is that you could have this camera anywhere in the world without relying on battery power. It will still work regardless of where you are. You do not need a battery to operate this. Do you need a light meter? Only if you don't know what you're doing. You know, you could have an external light meter. You could also actually use the Sunny 16 rule, which is another thing that I will get into sometime, to figure out what settings to use for a camera like this. This camera is beautiful. If you look at the simplicity of the features on top, you see over there is a shutter speed dial. Over here would be your counter, your frame counter, and that's the shutter release right there. And on this side here is the manual rewind dial or knob. Now, if you notice, this camera has this little hole in the shutter release. Now what does that mean? It means that you could fit a cable, like a shutter release cable, in there, and you will be able to use that to actually release or to shoot your images. What that means is that you can stabilize your camera on a tripod and you'll be able to fire it with that. What that implies is that your camera is not going to shake, especially in low light situations. And that really helps with getting a nice sharp image. So this camera is really nice for that. And that's the Pentax K1000 in a nutshell. One other thing to note is that this camera was quite popular back in the day as a student camera, because it was one of the best ways to learn photography in general. These manual cameras are quite unforgiving. You have to learn how shutter speed, ISO, and your aperture influence your exposure. You have to learn these skills. You have to learn when to use a tripod, when to use the shutter release cable like I talked about, and it teaches you the hard way, you know, to get good really fast. And that's why manual cameras like this are great for learning. And the good thing also is that because it comes with a light meter built in, it's quite a convenient feature to have. So that said, this is the K1000. It's one of the best manual cameras ever made, in my opinion.